The right age.
So I want to ask you about when is the right age to have stuff or to start doing stuff. What do you think is the right age to start having a phone?
Oh, I think for security reasons, to keep the child safe, perhaps maybe about 11 or 12 when they start going around places without their parents.
Yeah.
It would be a way for me to contact my daughter. Even now, my daughter's only 6 and she doesn't have a phone. That's far too young, I believe. However, she walks to school by herself.
Yeah.
And walks home by herself, and that stresses me out. For her safety. So there are times where I wish I could phone her or text her, but she doesn't have a phone, and I do believe that 6 is far too young to have a phone.
A little bit too young.
Yes. So purely for security reasons, I think probably around 11 or 12.
How old were you when you first got your phone?
Oh, well, I'm an old person, so people didn't have mobile phones. I was reaching the end of high school. I was, I think, 17 when I got my first mobile phone. And it was a big brick. But again, that was for, I guess security reasons.
Yeah.
My parents got it for me. I was going out, I'd started going out at night, going to concerts, and I was beginning to be allowed going into bars and things, 17, 18. So, yeah, it was a good security thing. My parents were appreciative of being able to contact me.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? How old were you when you first got your mobile phone?
Oh, goodness. I was about 12 or 13. I was really young.
Okay.
And I only got my first mobile phone, or my first cell phone, because my best friend had got the same one, and I wanted to send picture messages to her. It was back in the old days where you couldn't send photos, or you couldn't take photos.
Picture messages. I couldn't even
messages.
send picture messages. Mine was just text, pressing the same button over and over
yeah.
again.
Oh yeah. So I never really used it as a way of security. I just used it to send really overpriced picture messages to my friend for absolutely no reason. It was such a waste. And to play Snake. Do you remember Snake?
Oh yeah,
Snake. The little game that you could play on your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't use it for a good use, I think. I just used it to waste time.
Fair enough. Well, you're 12, you said, right?
12, 13, yeah.
Well, that sounds age appropriate, I think. Age appropriate use.
Yeah, it's a good time to start wasting your time. Good age to start wasting time.
Yeah.
Missing home.
So, Gilder, we're both teachers,
Yes.
and we both live and work abroad, right,
Yes.
from our home countries. I'm from Scotland, and you're from Venezuela. So, I'm sure we both have to deal with homesickness because we're so far from our home. How do you deal with homesickness?
Oh, it's very difficult because, as you said, I'm so far from my country.
Yeah.
And special seasons like Christmas or during the Holy Week is something that we celebrate a lot. I feel really homesick, especially because of the food we have. Yeah, particular food, and also meeting with your friends, hanging out with them, going to the beach. So all those things that I don't have here is it really makes me feel homesick. But one thing I do is I always try to go for things in the country where I'm living. So what do the locals do? Is there any interesting? And it's a sort of like an adventure because you're doing something new, so you're kind of replacing something that you're used to do by something new. So in a way, it's nice dealing with homesickness.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. You said replacing. I was going to say just distract yourself with other activities. Obviously, we've met new people living here, and I've made some new and wonderful friends. And it's not the same as your life back home, but it's a good distraction, I think. You mentioned activities, so yeah, just exploring the new culture that we're in, and if feeling homesickness, in regards to food. You know, there's a lot of delicious food here. Here in Japan, delicious food, so we can distract our needs, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the good things of being in Japan is the fact that you get to know people from all over the world and try so many different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a distraction. It's a good distraction. Yeah.
One strategy I have as well for homesickness is whenever someone comes to visit, which is very rare, but it does happen, I send them a list of things that they can fill their suitcase with to bring over for me. Foods from home,
Yes.
and just tea bags from the local supermarket, and some cosmetics or toiletries that I cannot buy here, particular brands that I like. And it's little things like that that help me, I think, deal with not having them. Basically, having them, that helps me deal with not
I
having
also
them.
do that sometimes. Like my family try to visit me once a year, so their suitcase packed of stuff from Venezuela, which is very important for me. And also I try to find those supermarkets from South America, like Brazilian supermarkets.
Right, yeah.
Or sometimes the Filipino supermarkets, they have stuff that we have in Venezuela.
Yes.
So yeah, it's very nice.
I actually used to live up in a different part of Japan where there was quite a large Brazilian population, and there were many, like a Brazilian convenience store.
Yes.
Wonderful bread. The meat was good too.
Yeah.
Lots of really good products. So I guess a shop like that would help you in particular.
Yes, I guess Brazilians, they don't have the same issue that we have with homesickness because they can get a lot of stuff from Brazil here in Japan.
True. Yeah. Well, of course, there are international stores around. I'm lucky enough to, even in a small city like this, I have an international store that's reasonably close. So there are a few products that I feel happy about, I guess. Maybe I wouldn't even buy them at home, but when I see them in the shop here, I feel like, I can't get other things, so I'm going to buy these biscuits.
Likewise, something that you can read.
That's true. Just peel the language sticker off the top and read the English below. Yeah, there are different ways to cope with it, I think.
Yes.
Going to Mars.
So, do you think that we should send people to Mars or the moon to spend all this money on space travel?
Well, I think we should. Space travel can give people hope for the future, and space travel can unite people from different countries for a common goal.
But do any countries work together to travel in space?
Oh, certainly. The International Space Station has astronauts from different countries working together. And I think that a joint effort is the best way to do space missions. I think that we could go back to the moon and learn much more by going there than we can learn if we don't go there.
I see what you mean, but I think we could learn more and we could improve more if we can help the people on Earth. Think of everything we could learn from the children that can't get an education these days. Maybe the next Einstein is a poor little girl who doesn't have the money to go to school. If we spent more money on school and clean water and vaccines, maybe we could learn more from ourselves than from going to space and going to Mars.
I agree with you that more money should be spent on education, but we don't need the next Einstein if we're not doing space travel. The problem is, what are people with money willing to spend it on? I think that it would be nice if we could have all the rich countries spend money on education for poor people. But if you look at the numbers, the cost of one space mission is much cheaper than the things we spend money on now.
Like what?
Well, the first example that comes to mind is war. One day of war is so expensive for all the governments and militaries that are involved. One day of war costs more money than one space mission. But
Yeah,
war
that's
goes
true.
on and on for days.
Yeah, and years.
So if you think about the money in terms of, so the money for a space mission seems expensive by itself, but when you compare it to other things, it's actually kind of cheap.
I see what you're saying. You're comparing the cost of space travel to war, but I would compare the cost of space travel to the cost of, for example, getting rid of malaria. I think we could get rid of a terrible disease like malaria for as much as we would spend on a trip to Mars.
Getting rid of malaria or going to Mars? Well, of course, I would also choose that we should get rid of malaria.
Maybe we'll have to agree to disagree.
We might have to disagree this time.
Okay.
Food we hate.
So what are 3 foods that you can't stand? 3 foods that you hate?
Number one would be chocolate.
Chocolate!
Yes.
That's crazy.
I don't like the feeling that you have when you put a piece of chocolate inside your mouth. It's like too hot. Like if I eat a piece of chocolate, I need to drink a lot of water. I don't like it. Yeah.
I will gladly eat all of your chocolate. If you have chocolate you don't want,
Yeah.
I'm here.
It's weird because when, chocolate is very popular as a gift. Somebody's always giving you chocolate, and I take it because I don't want to say everybody like I hate chocolate actually. But yeah. What about you? What's something you don't really like?
Well, I have something I don't like that I think is really popular. And every time I say I don't like it, I always get the same like, what? Kind of reaction. But I don't like ice cream.
What?
Yeah. I don't like ice cream. I don't think food should be that cold. I don't like it. Food shouldn't be too cold to eat. It's just not.
You don't know what you're missing.
I'm
Ice creams are really, really good, especially in summer.
Chocolate's really good. I'll take chocolate over ice cream any day.
Well, you can try chocolate ice cream.
No, chocolate ice cream is the worst. Chocolate ice cream is the worst. Ugh. No,
What about a
thank you.
second one? Do you have any second food that you don't like?
I don't like tomatoes.
Oh.
Which is strange because I eat lots of pasta with tomato flavored stuff in it. But just tomatoes by themselves is not something I enjoy. Whenever I have like a hamburger with a tomato in it, I always have to take it out and give it to someone else. I don't like it. It's just juicy and not a good juicy way.
I don't like garlic.
You don't like garlic?
I like garlic in food, but I don't like to see it or eat it and have the taste of garlic. I don't like it.
Once you've got the taste of garlic, you don't get rid of that for about 3 days. Right?
Exactly, that's another thing. Yeah. So when my mom is cooking and using garlic, after that she had to remove it. She cannot leave any evidence that she was using garlic in her food. Yes.
Is there another food that you don't like?
I would say sprouts, the Brussels sprouts.
Man, no one likes sprouts.
It's bitter, and even though some people say it's good for your body, I don't like them.
I think, sprouts are just universally hated. No one likes sprouts.
Yeah, well, but when you are a child, your parents, for some reason, are always giving you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cruel.
Oh, I don't like it. It looks like, I feel like a cow eating those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's just ugh.
What about you? Any other?
I have one more, but it's really strange. I've never actually eaten them, but looking at them makes me really uncomfortable. And that's olives. I hate olives. I can't
love them.
stand olives. Just looking at them makes me want to scream.
Really?
Like, I think it's the hole. I don't like the hole in olives. I'm like scared of olives. It's really strange, but
I
no.
like them. Very
You can have
tasty.
my olives.
Green, black.
Oh, no. If I see them in a jar at the
Better than
supermarket,
chocolate.
just no. Oh, no. Don't like them. Scared of olives. It's the craziest thing ever, but no. Don't like olives. Keep them away from me. Ugh.
Comfort food.
So what are 3 foods that you absolutely have to have, that you can't live without?
I would say that I couldn't live without arepa. Is like my daily breakfast in Venezuela.
What's
Arepa
that?
is made of corn flour, and it looks like a hamburger. So you put anything you want inside, and it's very tasty. And I would say like 95% of Venezuelans eat arepas every day. Well, it's kind of like a high carb diet in my country, so I need rice also for lunch, and bread. Bread is another thing. In the afternoon, a piece of bread, sweet bread with coffee, is kind of like mandatory.
So lots and lots of carbs in your
Yes.
diet.
What about you? What about in England?
Well, English breakfast is not the healthiest of breakfasts. It's like a big plate with fried eggs, fried sausages, hash browns, like hashed potatoes, beans, just everything fried and everything delicious. And I would say that I can't live without that, but if I ate it every day, then I would probably not be able to leave my house because I would be so fat. But it's definitely a food that is in my top foods of all time. That's probably my favorite. But recently I've been eating lots of tofu as breakfast. Yeah, so a little bit of tofu, a little bit of soy sauce just for breakfast, which is just, it's a bit of a boring breakfast, but it's really healthy, I guess. So I've been eating that a lot every day. So I probably can't live without that recently. And also pizza.
Oh, pizza, yes.
Pizza. I think
Very
everyone
good.
can't live without pizza.
Yes.
Pizza is the best. Pizza is definitely a
Yeah, I
food that I
try to
can't live
have
without.
pizza probably once a week, I would say. Yeah.
What's your favorite topping?
That would be cheese.
Cheese, classic.
Definitely. Bacon.
Cheese and bacon. Oh, sounds good.
Yes. Very, very tasty.
Just cheese and bacon or anything else?
No. I'm going for anything actually, but I will always need to have cheese and bacon on my pizza.
Pizza's not
Yes.
pizza without cheese.
Yes.
Has to have cheese.
Now, what else do you have? So you said tofu, pizza. What other food can you live without?
Well, my grandma is part Italian, so we have lots of like pasta and lasagna in our family.
Good.
So I try not to eat a lot of pasta because I'll get really fat, but pasta is definitely something that I can't live without.
Italian
So
food,
good.
so good.
Yeah. And again, lots of cheese.
Yeah. We also do a lot of lasagna. Well, we call it pasticcio.
Pasticcio.
It's a different name, but it's the same lasagna, and it's also very tasty.
So
yeah.
good.
But
So like a
high-carb
real
food.
real comfort food, isn't it? Lasagna.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your comfort food?
My comfort food. That would be arepa again. Yeah, definitely.
You said you can have lots of like fillings in that.
Yes. So my favorite would be black beans with cheese inside. It sounds a little bit like a mix-up of things, but it's really, really tasty. We do eat a lot of black beans every day in Venezuela. Yeah, it's very common. What about you?
My comfort food, I can't eat it as much as I would like to these days, but it's probably my mom's spaghetti bolognese. So good. It's so good. Like lots of pasta, lots of tomato, lots of herbs, lots of cheese.
Sounds good.
Ah, it's amazing. I would like live with my parents if it meant I could have spaghetti bolognese every day. So good. So tasty. But yeah, it's the best.
Nice.
It's the best.
Super party.
Hey Katie, I'm having a party, Super Bowl party at my house on Sunday in a couple weeks. Would you like to come over?
Okay, but I have absolutely no idea what the Super Bowl is.
Well, the Super Bowl is our big sporting event, and we have it once a year. But it's okay if you don't know anything about American football, because actually the Super Bowl is kind of like our unofficial holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, so what happens is everybody comes over to somebody's house, and you have a big party, and you watch the game, but nobody really watches the game. There's lots of other stuff going on, so it should be good.
Do you have like Super Bowl food?
Exactly. So it's kind of like a big feast. So we'll have, like hamburgers and stuff that we'll barbecue, and we'll have lots of like chips and dip and stuff like that. So you don't have to bring any food, but it's potluck. So if you do want to bring something, I would recommend it.
Do you have to be like a supporter of one of the teams in the final?
No, and actually the game's not for a couple weeks, so we don't know who the two final teams are going to be.
Right.
They still have to decide. But actually there's a bunch of things that have nothing to do with football on the Super Bowl that you'll probably like. The first is they have the halftime show. You may have heard about the Super Bowl halftime show.
Okay.
You like music, right?
I love music.
Right, so they always have a really big musical act. And actually this year, I don't remember who it is. I'll have to check, but it's usually somebody like Bruno Mars or U2 or somebody like that.
I think last year it was Katy Perry, was it not?
It might have been, yeah, but it's always a really, really big person. Another thing that's really cool about the Super Bowl is the commercials.
Okay.
So the commercials, the companies spend a lot of money on the commercials, and they're usually really good. So the commercials, people are often more into the commercials than the game.
Okay.
Especially if one team's if it's a lopsided win. So yeah, so the commercials are fun.
What kind of commercials do they have?
Oh, like companies like Pepsi or Coke or like really big name companies.
Like the really big ones.
Yeah, they'll spend like millions and millions of dollars. These are usually the most expensive commercials because it's one local game and one local audience. Like the World Cup is a more watched event, but the commercials are regional for all the different countries. Whereas the Super Bowl, the commercials are just for Americans.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are usually the most expensive commercials like around the world. So they're usually really well done.
Is it just American teams in the Super Bowl?
Yes, it's very, Americanized, you might say. But, like I said, the game's really not that important. But there is one way that you can make money.
Okay, I'm interested.
So what happens is we have like a pool, and you can draw numbers, and like you don't have to know anything about football, but you can have like, draw numbers for the first person to score a touchdown or the first player to get a penalty or things like that. And you just fill out the chart, and then if your player gets that, then you can get money. So you have to contribute. You have to pay like $10 to play, but then it's in a pool, and then you could win money at different points during the game.
Have you ever won at the Super Bowl before?
Yeah, it's kind of like how it works out, where everybody wins a little money and everybody loses a little money. So, gambling technically is illegal, but but it's like just one of those things that everybody does.
It's not for big money.
No.
Just for a little bit of money.
Just a little bit of money.
So it's okay.
Just to have fun. Yeah. So, and then once I find out what teams are in the finals, then I'll tell you about the colors. And it's usually best that you choose one team that you're going to support.
Okay.
So I'll fill you in about who the teams are later and all that.
Right.
So are you willing to come?
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Okay, cool.
I'm in.
All right, so it's going to be at my house at 3, so if you can show up around 2-ish.
Should I bring some food?
You can bring some type of maybe salad or like a bean dish or something like that if you like. But the main food we'll provide. We'll have pizza, we'll have burgers. Oh, and it's BYOB.
Okay.
So if you want to drink, you have to bring your own alcohol.
All right.
But we will have some beers and stuff. Do you drink?
Sometimes.
Okay, cool.
Like 10% of the time.
All right, so see you there. Glad you can come.
No worries.